This is probably pretty easy or simple advice. It's kind of one of those things you say and people are like, yeah, of course, But to really internalize it, I think is almost like the ultimate key to reality, like the ultimate, if there is a secret or a magic pill or something, this really is like it, and it's simple. It's just um, you have to do things. Like if you want something to exist or you want something, you have to create it. You have to do it. You have to the idea of like putting in the work, right? And mind you, it's not always hard work, though there is a lot of hard work that needs to be done. But you always, if you're working hard, you always need to be checking yourself. And by that I mean asking, am I doing the right thing? I don't mean on like I mean, of course, you should always be doing the right thing morally, but I mean more like, is this going to get me the results that I want, right? Thanks to modern technology, we have water taps, water sinks, right? Depending on your country, I don't know. But most of the time, you can just like turn the tap and get some water, right? I usually heat water, it's kind of like nicer. But that's, if I physically do those actions, if I put water in a kettle and then I click the button of the kettle, it makes hot water, right? So my work, which work is just like applying force, applying yourself, applying action to reality. My work in that case is creating hot water. And of course, there's many ways to make hot water. If I strongly put water in the kettle and click the button and hope that like chocolate milk or lemonade or orange juice comes out, it's probably not going to unless I have so much force of will that the water magically turns into orange juice, right? So that's what I mean by you have to check yourself when you work hard because you narrow your vision. So hard work is very important, but you need to be doing the correct work, which requires you to understand it requires intelligence. Then you have the opposite issue. If you're too intelligent, but you're not strong enough, you don't have enough stamina, you know what to do, or you know what you probably should do, or you have all these ideas, but you're too picky, maybe you can't apply yourself, or you don't really have the energy and stamina and power to do the work. So there are these issues. But anyway, really to circle back to the main point, everything in reality is, at least in the reality of people and society and like technology and media and whatever, is because someone made it. This video service you're watching this on, someone made that. Someone made the technology that you watch it on. I mean, technically, electromagnetism, people didn't make it per se, but they harnessed the ability to use it for communication and phones and all this stuff. So of course, the natural world is the natural world. It self-generates mostly, unless you're a farmer in which you work with the land or the animals and such. But the point being is that all the things around you probably are mostly made by people, refined materials into refined products, right? And then services, all these things, it's like created by people. So the world that we live in of modern conveniences and luxuries and pains as well is made by people. And you are a person. You have the power to influence that world to create things, whether they be real, physical, or whether they be like virtual on a computer, like a video or a song or whatever, software. You can create these things. You can, influence people. You can bring people together. You can create scenarios. You can make objects and devices. Like life is a blank canvas for you to manipulate. And of course, there are issues of resources and like legal issues, restricting you. So there are restrictions, of course, unfortunately, but the point being is that the world of man turns because he turns it. You can decide to turn the wheel of life in your own life. And unfortunately, if you're going to get anywhere in life, you have to be the one to turn it. I say unfortunately because, okay, some things, life is a cycle, right? So you can think like almost destiny. Destiny is like where life wants you to go. Fate is where you will just kind of go if you're doing the same thing. So it's almost like, we live in cycles where we do similar things and we act on autopilot, we're subconscious. So you wake up and you eat and you work and you go home and you relax and you sleep and you do this over and over again, and it's another year goes by. Oh, it's nearly Christmas. Geez, do I remember last Christmas? If I'm going to be honest, I don't. I think I'm too busy to remember Christmas. The point being, another year goes by, and if you don't take control of life, you only get what you get. You get what you did on autopilot, which is, I would say fate, and this leads you to destiny. So it's like fate is we're on a rocket going to star, far off star in the sky. And the far off star is destiny. But you can use your will to pilot the rocket ship to go to another star or another world, maybe if you want, right? You, depending on your will and your skill and your desire and such, will change the course of the rocket ship. I guess if you think like, oh, I don't have these things in my life and I want these things, because again, I'm probably telling you what you already know. You have to go out and get it yourself, and it's not easy, and you'd have it already if it were probably easy, right? If you knew how to get it, you'd already have it. So I'm sure most of you already know this. Like, I'm trying to just say, like, that's the only way you're really going to get anything. Like, that's kind of the main point is, like, if you don't do things, you're not really going to get them. If you do things, you probably as well won't get them, but you'll get closer. Like, eventually you'll get them, or you'll get different forms of them. Life can vaguely help you. The idea of like spiritual guides, or even like people, sometimes someone says something so uncanny and strange, and it's like, huh? But you remember it, and then like it helps you out, right? So it's like almost God or like divine entities or beings like speaking through people, or maybe it's just you tuning into your desires and you're using everything as like a resource, even what people say. Who knows what it is, but vaguely the world will help and not help you. Sometimes it will help you, and sometimes it will be a block. It's almost like if it doesn't think you're ready for something, and you being ready for something is ready at like a root level. So what I mean by that is that at a raw level, like if you were just given tomorrow the thing you want, could you completely handle and hold it and encompass it and be okay with it? Like, because a lot of people wish for things, but it's kind of like, we all want money, we all want to be rich, right? But how many people could retain that money? Could you handle that money? Is it going to destroy you? Are you just going to spend it all? It's almost like life doesn't let you. So sometimes it wants to be a guardian and a gatekeeper. It wants to stop you, right? And all those tests which I think are almost excessive, to be completely honest. At least in my life. Oh my goodness, it's like my whole life is just like brick walls, and it's just like it gets exhausting, to be completely honest. It's testing you almost. Life will test you for what you want, and you just have to keep passing the tests, and eventually you'll get what you want. And you kind of, you'll kind of stop caring or whatever, or it won't be as special, and that's fine. It doesn't have to. It's almost like if what you want is like to live properly, and life stops you from doing that. It's like you're not meant to be super excited once you can live properly. It's kind of like everyone needs like a home. It's almost like if you're homeless and you finally are able to live at a home, I don't think you should be super happy about that almost. It's like, oh wow, I got the thing that just like everyone has. Well, mostly. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe that's just me being I think there is wisdom to that. I think that it's almost like maybe someone disagrees with me on this, whatever, but like you shouldn't have to wish for water. Like water is abundant. It rains. There's sea, which you can distill water from. It's like water should be. We should be able to have access to water. It shouldn't be a thing which we have to like pray for and get gatekeeped from. But anyway, so yes, it almost seems like a lot of the time life will gatekeep you, but maybe sometimes it'll help you. As they say, the teacher won't help you when it's time for the test, but when it's not time for the test, the teacher will probably help you. So you can think like, what phase are you in of that? But anyway, I mean that's it really. Like again, I've always thought life's a game. It's a cycle, meaning like it's day and night, day and night, day and night. What are you gonna do during that day and night? Besides like the basics to live, like maintaining your house and garden and health and having to work and like bathing and eating and sleeping, like besides the basics, to get everything in order, if you've got a family, you got to take care of them, right? You got dependents or whatever. Besides all that stuff, like, what do you want to do? What do you want to create? What do you want to like? And such. And to create that, you have to, you have to put the work in. Or even if you don't want to create it, if you want to, what do you want to get? If you want to get those things, but you want someone else to make them, the generic brand or whatever. It's like, how do you get it? Do you pay for it? Whatever, right? So. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it's like everything around you probably purchased, right? Or you made. Somehow you used your will to get that consciously or subconsciously, and that really is just like the summary. Hopefully that helps. So what I've found is that if you follow your heart and be creative and do the things that you want to do, that you don't really make much money off it, or at all really, but it satisfies you and it's fun and not quite as difficult and painful. Still put work into things, but it's not quite as bad. And the other side is when you have to work and make money and integrate into society. You probably do things you don't really like, and you have to do things that are very realistic, because at the end of the day, what makes money is what people will pay for, and what people will pay for is generally things that are incredibly practical. There's a reason why the entertainment industry is a bit it's unstable. It's rocky. The idea they say don't try to make money off music or something, for example. Don't try to be a musician. Yeah, these things are difficult to get into. The idea of being an actor or something, right? So the more usually creative, even something like scientific pursuits, right? These things don't really pay unless you're, again, working for a company producing results that they want for their products, because they make money off this stuff. To make money, usually the more practical, the more in the world, the more what is required. Like everyone wants water, everyone wants food, everyone wants like housing. Housing's got tons of things. Fixing like plumbing and water pipes and that kind of stuff. Electricity, electricians, all these things, right? Transportation, manufacturing, whatever. These things make things that people want, but it's kind of miserable. Like working in a factories, I would imagine it's pretty miserable. Having to be on the road transporting stuff is kind of miserable because you have to be around all these people. Even like a social job like customer service, you're dealing with society usually means like the worst in people's emotions and troubles and dealing with deadlines and all kinds of things, right? Rules and restrictions and regulations. So it's like work is miserable most of the time. Maybe you have a nice job. I don't know. That'd be nice, right? I think also like the higher up you get, the more these things flip or the more they become like connected almost. Some people can make money off things that they like doing, creative, like interesting, higher level, spiritual pursuits even. But at what level is it that you're running a business for one of those higher pursuits? It's a bit like the idea of making money off spirituality. It's like, how do you monetize that? People monetize it with like retreats and classes and books and like coaching, all this kind of stuff, right? How do you monetize art? It's like products, making products, selling, pushing products, and that's how a lot of money is made, is just the manufactured things and selling of those things. Personally, I don't really like the idea of having to like create lots of stuff and sell all that stuff to make money so then you can live. It just seems wasteful. It's like, how many, I don't know, t-shirts do you have to sell to buy a house, right? Imagine all those t-shirts in a landfill. That's why I see like this excess like product economy is kind of, I don't really like the idea of it. Like it's nice to have stuff, but like just creating stuff just to sell, right? And then of course that's partially solved through like digital economy, selling digital stuff on a computer. Of course, then the issue is like piracy and copying and such, copyright protection, all that stuff. No one likes DRM, which is the copyright protection, making it so that it's hard to like download and activate software or whatever. It's nice just to buy something and to be able to download it whenever you want and have that permanent copy, right? So there's like all these issues, right? Anyway, working and integrating with society and all this stuff teaches you how to be more realistic. So I think then you can look at your creative stuff, your hobbies, your talents and gifts and whatever, and think like, how do I apply these in a practical way? You think, everyone needs water. How can you be creative about supplying everyone water? Everyone needs like t-shirts, right? I know, pants. How do you be creative about like creating really good t-shirts or pants or whatever and like supplying them to everyone? Or how do you use your like higher qualities to apply to these lower things? And that's what lots of work does, because it teaches you like, okay, this is how people buy things. This is how they transport things. This is how people want to buy things. This is where things are made. It teaches you how the world works, right? But then the opposite of like doing creative, scientific, spiritual pursuits, it teaches you the other side of life, the maybe less practical side, but the more out there, the more like it's really like you're playing in the borders of reality where society is like this game that has told us like this is what's okay, this is what exists, and nothing outside of it exists. But the truth is, everything has the potential to exist. The idea of like magic, right? Usually, when someone gets old enough, they stop believing in magic. It's because Magic doesn't make money, so there's no reason for a country or, I mean, if you look into like MK Ultra and all that stuff, there's some weird, Philadelphia experience, and there's some interesting stuff to it. But the point being is like, I look into magic and I understand, electromagnetic energy and such has the potential to, levitate stuff, heat stuff, cool stuff, do all kinds of like control of physics, right? Like there is a potential to control things, which would be magic, and human body has the ability to do that, right? So I believe in that, believe in it with, I guess, that evidence. I don't know, and I'm sure we've all had weird experiences, lights flickering, seeing weird auras, and like healing yourself, and we've all had like weird experiences, right? Like feeling electric energy of people, that boring objects may be moving or something, something strange, right? But it's just not profitable. It's that kind of stuff's not profitable. And if you're not like an artist, or maybe your work is kind of weird, or you're at a higher level, maybe you will start to see that stuff. It's kind of like conspiracy theories. It's like people at the top of society know conspiracy theories because they're the people making it. It's like they're the people that the conspiracy theories are about, right? The people at like low, maybe the mid levels don't really care or don't really see it because they're kind of under the spell and everything. People at the bottom, actually, funny enough, they can sometimes like intuit and sense these things. It's like the midwit meme. That's a funny one. But the point is, if the more you go and do these things which don't really make you any money, the more you understand like everything in a subtle, spiritual, artistic, even scientific way. It's kind of like science doesn't really make money unless you know how to really apply it, but it teaches you, like the physics of the world, right? Which is an interesting thing. It's like interesting. Oh, now you know about how water works. Now you know how air works. Now you know how fire works. Like, oh, now you know how physical objects and like can be made and how shapes they make. It's like this is interesting, and it can actually help you in your work. So just the same way that that work can help you practicalize your um, spiritual pursuits. Your spiritual pursuits can help you to spiritualize and make more creative and make more innovative your physical things. It's a bit like, I don't know about you, but I go through a grocery store and like I'm bored with all the products. That the art on the products is mostly boring. The food is mostly uninspired and boring and doesn't taste all that interesting. And there's so many like different experimental things. It's like the drinks. Why don't we have cool, like, why don't we have caramel ice cream or something? I don't know. Or caramel milk. We do have caramel ice cream actually. Why don't we have caramel milk? Why is it all just coffee milk and like chocolate milk? Like, I don't want to drink that. I do actually really like coffee milk. I'm a fiend for that, but I can't really drink caffeine. So but yeah, why don't we have caramel milk? Would that see? Here's the thing. That's creativity. That's like on the creativity side, is thinking, yeah, let's make caramel milk. Let's make a strawberry soda. That'd be nice. We need more. We need more red and blue sodas. I want a blue flavored soda. What is a blue flavor? I don't know, blueberry, like that fake bubble gum that you get from like the icy poles. Can we have that in a soda form? It wouldn't be that hard to make. They just take the same flavoring and just put in a soda, right? See, this is what, especially in the country that I live in, it lacks creativity to such an extent. It's such a fixed country because it's a root country, that we never get any cool, weird things. I think in Asia they experiment a lot more, but it could just be that Asia has a different food culture, so they're gonna have stuff like, man, where they have like corn soft drinks, weird stuff. They got like a milk soft drink, which is pretty good actually. So the point is, creativity. The more you practice creativity, the more you like break out of the box, and the box is practicality. Is what sells, and you become poorer the more you do these spiritual pursuits because you're not really making any money. It's too. The thing is, like, cola sells because everyone knows cola. Everyone knows common brands of it. Everyone likes the taste of it. It's familiar. It's been there for like what 100 plus years. Also, again, if I release a blue soft drink, maybe it will sell. Oh, that blue Pepsi, that was good. Will it sell? Maybe, maybe not. So that, I guess, that's the risk. Is like, I don't know. I'll be honest. It'd be interesting to go into one of these boardrooms, these like giant companies, and be like, hey, why don't you guys make cool stuff? Why do you guys just keep like playing it safe to the point where, I mean, really, this has infected the whole world. I look at cars, and at least in my country, every car's an SUV. SUVs are ugly. They're not good to drive. They're dangerous to everyone around you. They block vision. So if you're like a cyclist or a motorcyclist, like you get completely blocked out of like other people seeing you. The reason people buy them is because they want a big thing. They think it makes them feel powerful and protected. Yeah, it technically doesn't have as much space as some other cars actually, but they think it has space. And then there's all those things of like emissions, and like that's how the manufacturers get make them and all this stuff. But they're terribly fuel inefficient, right? But it's because like it almost seems like these car companies are just creatively bankrupt, and they're also being kind of swallowed up by rules, and their way of like getting around these rules is to make these SUVs, which is just all round not very good vehicles. A car enthusiast does not drive an SUV because they know better. They have something that they think's good. That's just what I'm seeing with the entire market. And again, it could just be my country. It could just be that. Because if you look into like the European or the Asian markets, it is a little better. I guess that's what happens when you don't have enough creative people in, is that like the visuals suffer, the audio suffers. It's just like when you focus too hard on the bottom line, and the bottom line can be driven by salesmen. If salesmen sell a product, be like, yeah, everyone loves this product, the glue stick, right? I don't know, we'll just use that. They just have a generic glue stick. They bought too much stock. Now they're trying to sell it off. And then that glue stick gets really popular. Maybe it's not even a very good glue stick. It's just that everyone is using it. It's advertised everywhere. Everyone knows it. And now it's just stuck in their memory. And they don't really want to take a risk on the other glue stick, which is obviously better. Maybe it's cheaper even. They just stick to the original glue stick because the salesmen are so good at selling it, and the people they're so familiar with it, right? People don't usually want to experiment. So then the bottom line is that those glue sticks sell, and that company needs to focus more on that glue stick. But are they focusing on improving the product? Usually not. Usually they keep the product the same. It's familiarity. So it's like almost we as people have to break away from that mold of buying the same stuff just because we're familiar with it, or doing the same stuff. It's almost like we have to choose to support creativity. And if the more we choose to support like creativity, the more that it is rewarded, and the more that people can take chances and make new things. Because I don't know about you, I'm terribly bored. As I said, I go into the supermarket and it's the same stuff every time. If there ever is something new, I'll check it out sometimes. Usually, even if it is new, it's just like the same kind of stuff. But if it's something that's like, oh, I haven't seen that one before, in the way of like drinks and like ice cream, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. A new flavor, that's cool to have that. And I don't know about you. I don't think it's that hard to like come up with these flavors, right? Because of course you can like make a bad flavor. No one wants to drink a mushroom flavored soft drink or eat mushroom flavored ice cream. I mean, maybe you do. Maybe you're a little bit weird. I don't know. I think you could kind of make a mushroom flavored ice cream. Maybe if you made it like certain medicinal mushrooms or something, like a matsutake or something, like vitality. It'd be like a health product or something. But I don't want to drink a mushroom flavored soft drinks or soda. You Fruit is what you're meant to have. Like that's like you know, a soft drink or a soda is like a perfection of like the fruit drink, like a fruit juice. It's like a thinner, clearer, like more refined, harder hitting version of that, right? So you go to things like berries and the certain fruits like apple. There are apple sodas and apple ciders. That's not too bad, but maybe something like thinner, like a lemon or an orange, makes usually for a better soda, right? I don't know. Maybe we should try out different ones. Tangerine, blood orange is good. It's very delicious. I don't know. Pear cider is nice. So I guess to summarize, the main point is that you'll be miserable and like it's shit to work. Maybe you got a good job, I hope so, but if you don't, it's horrible and miserable. And it makes you more practical. That's the thing. That's the lesson you learn is practicality. And the reward is money. And if you do spiritual, artistic, creative, whatever pursuits, you learn about reality in like fundamental ways and you become more creative and more inventive and you learn how the world works, but you don't really make money and you don't get respect, but you do feel satisfied and happy. And people notice that. People notice, why is this person happy? Why are they happier than me? I'm richer than them, higher status than them. Or the opposite. It's like the creative person's like, why is this person richer than me? Why are they higher status than me? I'm more creative than them. I'm more like spiritual. I'm a better person, right? Like that's what the spiritual person thinks. I'm a better person than you because you know you dedicated your life to work and I dedicated my life to beauty or to God, or to science or to like higher pursuits. And here's the thing: the spiritual that person is higher, but higher doesn't always mean like better, right? The sky is higher, but you can't really make much out of clouds. Rocks are very low, and you make a lot out of rocks. Make a lot out of trees, a lot out of dirt, right? Out of clay. Yeah, it's just like just have to see reality for what it is. See the spectrum of density from like the earth to the water to the sky to the heavens, and you'll understand all things, I guess. In the past, you would have had towns and villages separated by long expanses of natural like land, so to speak. It would have been forests, would have been deserts, depending on your climates, the plains, mountains, etc. And there's a reason why people stayed in their villages or towns and it wasn't safe to go out. There's a lot of stuff about like people think women were like had it really bad in the past, or like men were like so mean to them, and I don't think that's true. I think it's more that the world was a lot more difficult in certain regards. The idea of, well, if you left your village, you could get eaten by a wolf or a bear. I mean, in some you go to like Canada, and they still have bears there. You go to I think like India has lions, or Africa definitely has lions. Like there's places which still, it's like that, right? So there's reasons for this stuff. So as a man, to leave your village, you would have to be strong. It would be the hunters that would leave, the woodsmen, the adventurers and such, travelers that would, just roam about. And these people had to learn to fight not only animals but bandits and thugs and other men, soldiers that potentially roamed about. Like there are these outside the city walls. There are dangers, right? And if you've ever been like in the wilderness, you feel that sensation of like anything could happen here. If you hit your head and you start bleeding out and you don't know how to fix that, you could die. If someone becomes hostile, no one's going to hear. It's that kind of thing. It's like there's danger out in the woods, right? That's why we got this fear of the unknown. You start hearing these voices, these howls, and it's like, oh, it's scary. That's why like fire, so kind of like there's a comfort in fire, protection and warmth from it because it keeps things away, like evil away. So I think men nowadays don't really have that experience of being able to like travel from one village to another, one town to another, and like go out and face the unknown, face the wilderness. Sorry to have a little interlude, but when making these videos at night, there have been so many airplanes flying by, and it's this weird thing. It's like, is it because I'm making sound, making noise at night, that like the world then reflects that and makes noise back at me? Because normally I don't hear airplanes, but for some reason making these videos I've heard four, and they're really annoying. I'm just thinking, like, do I just, subconsciously not recognize these sounds? Like, I notice a lot of people don't process sounds, like annoying sounds, like dog barks or like squeaks of certain things, like car motors, things that are actually kind of annoying. A lot of people just like don't really like. They're so in the thick of being an NPC, they don't even like recognize it. Some of these people, I wonder, are they even bloody alive? Like, is there anything going on inside there? But anyway, what is going on? It's very annoying. Going on. It's like the idea of like having an initiation ritual, right? Men need some kind of way to initiate themselves to become a man. Women, I would say childbirth. Your marriage and childbirth is like the most initiating thing of making a girl a woman, right? It's such a raw, such like a biological, such like a transformative thing. But for men, it's like dealing with the unknown, integrating with society, and then dealing with like the danger of the world, right? Being able to handle it. Increasingly, as we develop more infrastructure, roads get paved everywhere, and more cities and towns pop up, and it makes it more safer again for women, and women actually start to become like more prominent. They take more control. The world becomes more women dominant, and while in the days where there was the wilderness, the wilds beyond, you need strong men to protect you from evil bandits, the evil wolves, right? Whatever like danger is outside of there, right? And then as there's less of that, people forget that and they become more feminine. And usually it perpetuates the cycle of like, good times create weak men, right? Weak men create hard times create strong men create good times. I think now we've gone through weak men create hard times, and we're kind of in like hard times create strong men. A lot of people probably won't agree with me. Some people still think we're in good times create hard men. I don't know about you, the last 20 years have not been good times. At least not for me. Last 20 years have been pretty shit. Pretty shit. The last time I remember reality kind of barely functioning was like the early 2000s. And even then, it wasn't really even. It was like the after shadow of like the after shadow of a good time. Now I think we're a little further ahead than most people think. So, really, like, because it's when you create too much of a city, what happens is that the danger comes back into society, the harshness, the meat grinder reality appears in this society that we've made, right? And the meat grinder really is like the cost of living currently is that wall that's kind of pressing us. It's like we're inside a grain grinder. We're in a blender, all these ideas of like the blades of the blender is like cost of living and housing and like everyone like being screwed up and the roads, everyone being like crazy on the road and like being rude to like servers and like all this like nonsense that people don't really need to be doing, right? Because they're so screwed up, because they're just so weak and like uncontrolling of themselves, their emotions, that they just make things hard. It's a bit like we live in luxury in a way, living in like paved streets and like houses and online delivery and all this stuff. Like that's luxury, that's great. But for some reason, it's like everyone's fucking miserable and on drugs and is mean, like so mean. What's up with that? Why is everyone so mean? Full of evil. Like, what is going on? And everyone, like, no one wants to connect. It's almost like people want the bad feelings more than the good feelings. Like, if you try to be nice to someone, it's almost like they want to, like, crush you and, like, get the juice out of you instead of like to make you miserable instead of like enjoying the good connections. Like what's wrong with everyone? People are creating their own misery. We live in like we could have like free energy and spaceships and like all kind of crazy stuff if only we could just apply ourselves and improve ourselves. So we live in this what could be a paradise, but it is hell. Like this is hell to the extent where if we were in a village and we like had a water stream that we had to go to and we had to farm everything and hunt for everything and forage for everything, and there were wolves that want to eat us outside of the village, that would be more pleasant than what we have now. Yeah, if we had to crap by a river and wash ourselves in the same river and wear like the same outfit made out of like flax or straw or something, I don't know, like leather or furs or whatever. It's like if we had to live a primitive but slightly, like I'm not talking like super tribal, but enough that we can make bricks and or use stones and mortar and like wood and build stuff, right? We've got a little bit of technology. Like that would be more pleasant. People would be nicer. They would be healthier. They would be kinder than this like literal hell that we've created and currently exist in, where everyone is so mean and hateful and troubled and disgusting internally, and everyone hates like their job and like people hate their families. Like what is going on? Like you can order pizza at like nearly like most, I don't know, like half the day you can order pizza and get it within like nearly half an hour, if you're lucky, maybe a little longer. That's crazy, right? Like you can order, I don't know, a ton of like lead bars from like Africa, or lead ore or whatever. Any material you want, as long as you can pay for it with money, and you can get that there, and it's like life could be incredible. We have all this potential and power and technology, and just people so screwed up. Anyway, yeah, so I think men need that initiating, or we kind of lost. I think when we lost the wilds, when we, overpaved, we lost that, right? And that's what happens is that as the society becomes more feminine, the feminine is the rotting, fermenting, dark aspect. Yeah, like death, the aspect of death, right? So it brings death. And I think we've been living in death in society where it's death and life is coming back. the new day is coming, right? So I think people like, are they gonna have to face their like shadows? Are they facing their shadows already? I don't really even know. The new initiatory kind of thing for men is like, it's weird because it's almost like young men are like so disrespected and like hated. And that's when you can tell when things are really fucked up, because that's the future. That's the future bearers of society as young men. And if society is treating them like shit and you're trying to push them out, you're pretty much saying like, hey, here are the defenders of the wolves, like the wolf hunters. Here are the people that kill the wolves. You know what? There haven't been any wolves for the last 10 years. I don't want you around. You people are, you wear weird, you wear wolf pelts and you're kind of weird and you smell bad, and it's like, I don't really like the swords and the axes or whatever. It's like, get out of my village now. And then eventually the wolves come back and eat everyone because they drove out the wolf hunters, or they didn't train new wolf hunters. They didn't train new ones because it's like, oh, well, that's kind of nasty, or it's like fighting's bad or whatever. And that's kind of what I guess we're heading to, is that like probably a lot of these first world Western countries, they're kind of being swallowed up by immigration, weird social, like corruption, like financial trickery, lack of industry, all kinds of stuff, right? And like they don't really have the men who are meant to defend it weren't integrated and weren't trained and like don't really know how to defend it, and the men who are already there are too busy looting the corpse of this society, enjoying the spoils of it, and like writhing in like the essentially it's like the corpse is fermenting and letting off like corpse gas, and these older men are like huffing this gas. They're getting high off it, dancing, because they are like so fucked up off it, and they can't see anything, and they can't see the asteroid that's about to hit, and they don't. Or the ones who don't care because they're gonna die, or they're too old to care. That's kind of the situation where we're in, where I think the initiation of men is to essentially take on whatever crazy ass struggles of society there is and fix it. That's kind of like that. There you go. That's your initiation. Is like whatever difficulty of the world, you have to learn to conquer it. The difficulty of the world used to be fighting other men, other bandits, other soldiers, other from other races, fighting other animals, wolves and bears and lions and whatever. Yeah, that was the danger. Now the danger is like everything, almost like just like society just being completely fucked. Everyone being like fucked in the head, like severely. Like that's almost the danger. Is like your own weakness, your own struggles and pains and whatever. And of course, the way women fit into this is that women can't go through their initiation, which is marriage and childbirth, until, I mean, well, theirs relies on men, right? You have to have a man to do that. And of course, they can pick the current men, which have maybe partially overcome this, but they're not really that strong. And the men who haven't overcome it, that's the thing, you have a child with a weak man, and that child's not going to survive very well in the next cycle. Or they may survive, but they're not going to really thrive and push your, soul and your like mind's future forward. So it's like, yeah, it's difficult, I guess, in that regard.